Mr. Speaker, the Premier, in announcing his review of taxi services in Manitoba, sent out a press release that never once mentioned the existence of ride-sharing services. Indeed, the request for proposal, which I tabled, also ignored any mention of ride-sharing services, to the point that it sounds as if the Premier doesn't even know what ride-sharing services are. Will the Premier's review of taxi services include the ride-sharing services or not?
The member will recall my statement last week when I said we want a taxi service in Manitoba which is safe, reliable, affordable, and convenient. And that's the purpose of the review, Mr. Speaker, to ensure that the taxi services can meet those important public service standards. Right now, it's illegal for Uber to operate in Manitoba unless they have a taxi driver's license, unless they have a taxi cab license. That is the law right now in Manitoba, Mr. Speaker, and people are expected to follow the law in Manitoba, including members of the Liberal Party, Mr. Speaker. The review will take a look at all of those issues and identify the best way for the industry to move forward while ensuring that the law is respected, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, if the Premier is really concerned about public safety, he should recognize that ride-sharing services are already a part of Manitoba's evolving ground transportation system. I table a page from just one ride-sharing website in Manitoba, which advertises, "Find your perfect ride share." This website shows that this site already has more than 300,000 registered users in Manitoba, and that they are listing very large savings being achieved as a result of ride-sharing. Does the Premier acknowledge that ride-sharing requires regulations to make it as safe as possible for Manitobans?
Mr. Speaker, let's first of all be clear. Ride-sharing does not involve an exchange of resources. It's not the rental of a taxi service, Mr. Speaker. Ride-sharing is when people get together and offer each other a ride out to an appointment or a class at university or to go grocery shopping, Mr. Speaker. So let's not mislead the public about what this ride-sharing Uber program is about. It's a taxi service that is not it's not operating in Manitoba, Uber, right now. If it does, it has to have a license for the cabs, it has to have a license for the drivers, and it has to have proper insurance. Those are the requirements in Manitoba. Those requirements are there to ensure public safety, to ensure that if anything goes wrong, that there's insurance to deal with that, Mr. Speaker. And the review will look at all of those issues, as well as issues of affordability. Uber rates can go from small rates to very large rates at times when people need the service the most. In Manitoba, there's a regulated rate structure which ensures people have the same rate no matter what the demand is, to allow everybody to have certainty of what they're going to pay for a cab ride, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, ride-sharing covers a spectrum. That spectrum includes people paying for gas for ride share that they've arranged on the internet, to companies like Uber, which have apps which allow for easy ride sharing. Mr. Speaker, the Premier's announcement of his taxi services review, not including ride-sharing services, did not set any goals at all. Surely a review should have set some sort of objective. What are the Premier's goals and objectives? Is the Premier's goal to recognizing that ride-sharing services are a reality in Manitoba, and to look at the implications of this, including ride-sharing services in the transportation options for Manitobans, or is the Premier going to maintain the status quo?
Speaker, the member just has to read the description of the taxi cab services review to know what the whole point of it is, and I invite him to read the document that he has provided for me, Mr. Speaker. The document says as follows: a comprehensive review of the taxi cab industry in the City of Winnipeg, and provide the taxi cab board with recommendations to ensure a financially viable, safe and modern industry while meeting acceptable service levels. The objective of the proposed consulting assignment is to conduct a comprehensive review in the City of Winnipeg and provide the taxi cab board with recommendations designed to ensure the number and types of taxi cabs in service are sufficient to meet the ongoing demand, to establish and maintain an equitable and consistent fare structure which supports and sustains an economically viable taxi cab industry. It's very straightforward, Mr. Speaker. All he has to do is read it.